Hey there, and welcome to Monica May's One Take Live. Before we go any further, I got to put in this plug. Help us spread the word. I want you to tap like and click the share button to invite your family, your friends, and your followers to be a part of this conversation. One Take Live streams to Facebook, YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Apple or any of your other favorite streaming platforms. I have a great production team, and I thank them for that. Wow, it's carnival time, y'all. And Guenet Gittens-Roberts is our guest. She is my journalist friend. She is just my sister friend, period. She's the CEO of GGR Marketing and Public Relations that focuses on creating impactful programs for multicultural communities. And also, they look into niche marketing. Recently, she added the role of producer to her portfolio, launching the first Carnival reality TV show. It's called Road Ready. It's right here in Orlando, as well as Miami, and it's broadcasted in over 30 Caribbean countries. When I tell you I am proud of my sister, I am very proud of her. As the owner and publisher, she and her husband do that together, of Caribbean American Passport News Magazine, the largest Caribbean owned statewide newspaper in Florida. Gannett represents diverse voices. English, French, and Spanish. Loving it, loving it. Her commitment to community connection is felt through her organization of festivals and events, particularly the Orlando Carnival, downtown Central Florida's largest Caribbean cultural festival. And that's what we're getting ready for. And that's what we'll be talking about today on One Take Live. I want to say, welcome, my sister. Welcome. I salute you for your extraordinary work once again on this year's festival. So happy. Look at the beautiful ladies in the back.
Look at
Just
the ladies
wonderful.
behind. They're
Yeah.
taking to the streets. They'll be all over leading up to this weekend.
This is amazing. We're looking at what, 3 days? The
Mhm.
celebration? Yes. This is wonderful. First of all, before we get to Carnival, tell me about Gannett. Tell
Uh,
who are you, love?
Oh, you surprised me with that one because Ganette's not accustomed to talking about Gannett. Gannett will talk about clients and everything. But thank you for that, my sister, my friend. I like to start. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, and I sit not as a leader, but as an advocate for a community here. And I am a trusted portal into the Caribbean American community, and I take that very, very seriously. And Monica, we've worked on a lot of things from voter engagement turnouts to just getting information out generally. That is my life's work at this point. And I tell everyone that it starts with me wanting to create a better place for my kids to live and work and play. I moved to Orlando about 20 years ago. I've raised my family here. Orlando felt like home to me when we came. I'll give you a funny story. The first
Yes.
few years when I would come to Orlando, we came from Miami, and my husband would drive us up through Orange Blossom Trail. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, where are you moving me to? What is this place? Because, 20 years ago, coming into Orlando through that way, and I only saw that. But just in getting used to it a bit, this place is magical, not because of Disney, but because of the people here. And we have felt embraced since we came here. We love it here. We hope we've added to the fabric of this city because that's what we wanted to do. And we wanted to show people how interconnected this community is.
Yes.
So the Caribbean community is, I like to say, we're black, we're white, we're Hispanic, we are French, we're Creole, right? We are Indian, we are Muslim, we are Hindu, we are Christian, we are all of those things. And me coming as a person from Guyana, I immersed growing up in all of those different cultures and environments. And I do think it makes you a better person because you're not judgmental thinking that your story or your upbringing is the right one.
Mm-hmm.
You're taught to just accept different cultures, accept different religions, and just it's just a case of being. You don't question. So I feel like coming here to this very multicultural and very accepting city. We were able to just jump within communities. But when we were jumping within communities, we saw that they were in silos. Nobody knew what the other was doing. And that was different for me. That was strange for me. And so if I would say one thing that maybe I should be known for is that I try to connect those worlds.
And
And
I
I
think you do that so well because you can move through all of the cultures that you just mentioned, and all of those are represented here. It's been 20 years. Wow.
yes, it
Now,
has.
when you and your husband came, you had both of your children at that point?
We did. We did. And we moved to the east side. We were told Waterford is the place to go. So we moved to actually Chickasaw area, and then we moved to Waterford. So we raised our kids on the east side. And now that they're grown, we're on the west side with all the Caribbean folks, all the Caribbean food.
Let's talk about bringing that to life. Orlando Carnival downtown, the parade, the festival. You have made this whole piece grow exponentially. I mean, people are coming in here from all over. They're looking forward to it. You see the commercials, you hear people talking about it. I mean, the buzz is there.
Yes.
How
So
did you
what
manage that?
how I would say by starting off being respectful of what 30 something years ago, over 35 years ago, what our community built here. Um, so they did start this festival 35 years to 37 years ago. Mayor Demings was a beat cop at the time. He was one of the people who said, why would we stop them from having this parade? Yes, it's different, but if this is what they say is their culture, why not? That's Orlando right there.
Mhm.
And so they struggled over the years, and we would see them struggle after a while. Apparently, this parade was so big at one time. George Jefferson from the Jeffersons used to be a grand marshal in this parade. So they helped to form the MLK parade.
Mhm.
The Carnival Association back then helped to form a lot of those things as well with the JCs. They were very active, but then they got older
Mhm.
and things started declining a bit because this city grew fast, and so venue prices skyrocketed, and they just couldn't keep up. And so Sam and I, we were involved in festivals. We would help them from the outside, and so respectfully we said, look, we'll help, but we really have to market and manage to get this done in the way that it should be done right.
Mhm.
And before that, what would happen is people would they still wanted to keep the culture in their own little silo
Yeah.
and protect it and like guard it, and it's like their special thing. But we saw Orlando Carnival as an Orlando festival,
Mhm.
not as a Caribbean festival. And so what you're seeing that's different is that our children are Orlando people. We are
Okay.
Orlando people. And we say this very clearly to everyone. This is not a Caribbean festival. It's a Caribbean American festival, which means it's Caribbean and American. And so we're very aware that when they see our skin, the amount of people who come up to us afterwards that are not Caribbean that have said, "You've made us proud because what we saw, that dominance,
Mhm.
that what we saw on the streets of downtown made us proud." People who I don't know, and I, that we impacted them in that way just helps a community get more pride, and
Mhm.
that's essentially what we want, right? And we want to share too that I think in the Caribbean, our African ancestry was not as suppressed out of us. It wasn't as shoved out of us as I think sometimes in America it was for our brothers and sisters, right? And so we're saying this is our West African roots here,
Mhm.
right? This carnival, it started with the Catholic religion, yes, because it is Mardi Gras, mind you. This is
Mhm.
Mardi Gras, but with an African undertone to it, with a dash of that Indian spice of the folks in the Caribbean. But it's a very West African celebration of culture. And so when an African American person comes in, they feel that I feel at home here. Something feels right. Is that connection? And so we are saying this is a space where we're connecting with our brothers and sisters. We've been educating folks that there's a Pan African flag. Don't be intimidated because you might see a Caribbean flag and you think, I don't have a Caribbean flag, so I don't have one to fly. There's a Pan African flag, there's an African American flag. It does not matter. We're not judging in that space. And I'm telling everyone who is, it's not your place to say somebody doesn't belong here. This is an Orlando festival and everyone belongs here.
I have to tell you that the times that I have come, you will feel the interconnectedness that Guenet talked about. Like as soon as you turn the corner, everybody is reaching out. Everybody touches, everybody smiles, the laughter on people's faces. You don't always see that. I've been noticing that the parade attendance, not your parade, but other parades, has gone down. But I don't think that that's going to be the case this weekend. I really, really,
It is
really
not
don't
the
think
case
that.
this weekend.
There's so much going on besides the lovely ladies. What else can we expect? And let's start with the very first day,
So the
which is
very first day is Friday.
uh-huh.
And that we have created something called Carnival on the Runway. And what we did is we want to foster design and creativity. And so we take a look at these costumes and we have people put them together, or we have folks try to make them. The reason we do it is to explain Caribbean culture is very young. We're not European culture that is hundreds of years,
Yeah.
or Asian culture that's thousands of years. We were in this in we were sent there hundreds, like what, 100 and something years ago, 200 years ago. We only got our freedom 100 years ago, 100 and something years ago. We're not, we don't have this huge long cultural experience to share, but we're now really coming into this power of, wait, we did create something. We formed a hybrid of Indian, African, Portuguese, and we created our own thing. And this is who we are. This is our culture, and this is how we connect with all of you. You see, we're
Hmm.
Hispanic. We are this. We are African. All of it connects in, because when an Indian person from India comes, they'll see something they understand. When an
Yes.
African, they'll see something they understand. And so that Carnival on the Runway creative part allows them to stop and just think and realize, this is mine and I could do with it what I want. Nobody has to tell me that it has to be done in this way. It's art.
Hmm.
And they
And
take the runway with it.
tell me something. How long does it take to make even one piece of the costumes?
So costumes take a while.
Yeah.
I it does. What you see here, a costume here would sell for $1,000 because
Oh, at least. Hmm.
people buy them to then play mass, as we call it, behind the truck on the road on Sunday. It's a lot just like Mardi Gras, right? It's that build up, but then if you're with the band, you're paying for your drinks and you're paying for your food and you're paying for that costume. But you could come and just enjoy it too. So that a piece like that will take probably it takes them months to create
Yeah.
hundreds, but it
I
does.
would think so. I mean, they are so extravagant,
They are.
and the women that wear them, and even the men who
Mm-hmm.
have to be on the runway as well. That's amazing. That takes a lot of pride,
It
in
does.
yourself, your body. You have to,
It
your image, all of that.
And the other thing is that it actually, everybody is a body is a word that we use.
Mhm.
Everybody is a body, because in our world, if you're oversized, if you're fat, it does not matter. Sometimes in our world, the fat girls are more attractive than the skinny girls. It's nobody is left ever feeling conscious about their body. The
Mhm.
funny thing is that as much as it looks like we're being out there with ourselves, it's not a sexual thing. It is just a freedom thing. And that's a piece that sometimes you have to play mass and put on the costume to understand. It is really about abandonment and freedom. This is
That is
not,
so interesting that you said that. I did not mean to cut you off. That is so interesting that you said that because when I think about it, you are so right. One
Yes.
thing I will bring to everyone's attention, not covering the face, I think is very key on Carnival.
Mhm.
Mardi Gras, you covering up your face in many instances. So there
Yeah,
is a difference. I
there's a
would, yeah. And so, I mean, it just hit me. The beauty of a woman, the beauty of a man is
difference.
uncovered during
Yes.
Carnival.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think I'm hitting on something right now,
Yes.
because you're
Yeah.
right. It is not a sexual thing. It is one of beauty and imagery. That
Yes.
is it.
Yes, and we also say very very much so. It is one of freedom, because what happened is the for us in the Caribbean, the slave masters played Mardi Gras, right? They had the
Mm,
balls and all of that, so their costuming was very elaborate. And in Trinidad, which is really for us our mecca for
mhm,
Carnival,
mhm,
what happened is that you will see Indians. So it means they try to tell the story of the people that were there, right? So there are more an there's more of an Indian look. And when I say Indian, I mean Native American Indian, because in the Caribbean we'll call them Amerindian. Um,
ah,
yeah, so it is that look. So that's probably where we got some of those feathers from. I am not sure. But then you'll have some of the more traditional African style looking. And let me tell you, in Trinidad too, it is so much from the African religion that
mhm.
this is spiritual, and this is after a while they banned the drums, and that is how we evolved to those steel pan, because they knew when the Africans played those drums,
They were communicating.
were communicating. And
Mhm,
so that's how we did the steel pan after a while, because those drums were banned. And so they played drums on garbage bins, and that's where
mhm.
that came from. And so it was that. And what happens is, when I was growing up, my parents would say, be careful of the drums, be careful of the drums, because the drums could carry you away. And I don't know if you understand what that means, but
No, so explain that. Explain that.
uh, if you're around drumming, and we have it from the Indian side to called tassa drumming, it could just you could get carried away in terms of like it becomes spiritual almost, if you're
Mhm.
not, because you get
Ah,
transported. And so it's, there's light drumming, but there's really, when they get serious about drumming, you've got to retain your consciousness. Maybe it's almost like meditation that happens, I don't know. But drums are a very very serious part of our culture. And if you really look at New Orleans and all of that, you will really see, whenever black culture is on display, art, drum lines, drums a big part of that
yes,
still, no matter
yes.
how it's evolved. And so yeah, that drumming is a major major part for us.
Mm. So Carnival Jouvert, what does that mean?
Juve is break of morning. And so
Ah,
what we would do with that is, like, in the Caribbean, they would do this at 3 a.m. They would be going out into the streets, and this is the part where everybody's covered with paint and powder and mud and oil in the Caribbean. Here
get
we don't
out.
do. And you are just dancing in the streets until the break of morning. And so if you go to Grenada and you go to Trinidad, that's how they play it. And what's beautiful about it is no one is in charge of anyone at that time. So the prime ministers, everybody is equal on that day, and everybody is playing mass and juve together. It's an equalizing time, and that's because,
Mm.
again, we were not we were saying to the slave masters, we are equal to you guys on this time, right?
Wow. I wonder, this is just a thought that came through my head. If we're saying that to the masters, I wonder how that went the next day.
Well, that's why they when you will look at the juve in the Caribbean, their face is full of it's black, so you really can't tell
Who's
who.
who?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes.
is so okay. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Oh my gosh. We're speaking with Guenet and she is the organizer, one of the main organizers. I mean, the visionary, the main organizer. She was showing us just a moment ago the production area, but she has some beautiful women, and she's explaining the costuming and the jouvert with the paint and the water and the powder, and it's just pure revelry.
It is. It is
It's an
so safe.
equalizer too.
It's an
It's an
equalizer.
equalizer. This is
Yes.
so interesting. Now, the back in timeline, that was on Saturday afternoon. Yes.
Yes. So our two of our biggest soca stars are here, and we started this as back in timeline to have some place for our older people to have a space where they could sit on the lawns of Dr. Phillips and enjoy a cultural show. And so there would be stick fighting, because stick fighting is a part of the culture. I don't understand everything about it. Stilt walking, the Moko Jumbies, and that is thought of as they walked across Africa, walked through the sea. What's interesting about that is in Bahamas all the way to Trinidad, and that's at two separate ends
Mhm.
of the Caribbean Sea, let's call it. Mokajambis were there. So it means that really is a part of our ancestry. And it's now that we're in the diaspora that we see this connectedness. We see that there's a junk canoe that is just like Mardi Gras in Bahamas in December. There is, in Guyana, we do something very similar. It's masquerade, we call it, and it's around that December time into February. It's all having to do with that pre-Lenten celebration
Yes. Mhm.
into Fat Tuesday, going into Ash Wednesday. For us in the diaspora, we do it at different times, but that is the time of Carnival. For those who are not aware, so when you see us pop it up now, it's just because we can't compete with home at those
Mhm.
times, because that's like you'd have to go back to New Orleans, because New Orleans is that home at that time, or Alabama. So it's like that for us. It's that Mardi Gras period. But coming back in timeline, we wanted to have something where we could have our old performers come, and people could relive their young days. That was
Nice.
the story of that. And then we wanted to start telling the story too about, hold on, could one of you guys help me with that? Of just the fact that, just shut it off for me quickly, please. Yes, of just what why do our performers still have to perform, because that was an issue. They did not have royalties and all of that, so we're helping to tell all of those stories within this weekend.
This
we're
is
we're,
amazing.
we're pairing young
And
producers with those older ones, talking about producing beats, how they get paid. We're doing all of that
you said how they get paid?
because our older performers are of a time when they still have to perform at 70 and 75 to be paid. They don't have, they're not doing it like the younger producers now, who essentially they produce the beats, it's there's royalties. They don't, the older performers don't have that for us in the Caribbean.
Wow. Wow. And we don't, older performers in our diaspora, in the black, like jazz and R&B, the pay is very, very, very different. In fact, I saw that there is legislation now talking about one of the larger promotions companies and how
Mhm.
they have just taken over everything, and the artists are not getting paid, but that is a whole story in
We're
itself.
pairing them so that if there's places those younger artists can help, they're
Yeah.
able to help. We're pairing
Hmm.
them so that they
With the
help our
older artists.
yes.
That's good. And Carnival Sunday, today, that's what we're looking forward to too. The Moss Band Parade, or Moss Band Parade. Tell me
Yes.
about that. Tell me about the Caribbean food that's going to be out there.
You'll see each band has girls like this behind it. The people have bought their costumes. They're playing mass. It's going to be on the outer edge of Camping World Stadium, and we want to thank the city. We want to thank Paramore, right? Because 35 years ago, we always say this: if Paramore wasn't welcoming to us, right, we would not be here. later now. And so one of the things that we're looking to do is to give back. We want to present a check after Carnival is
Yeah.
finished and start doing more in Paramore, because without them we could not be, and we're very aware of that. And so, we're going to be on the streets, Church, Rio Grande, Long, and then we're going into the park. So we're still keeping that free component to the parade on the
Mhm.
street, but then we're taking the parade into the park, and the parade will go around on the inside of the park as well. And so it allows families to still gather on the outside to enjoy that parade. And then if they choose to come into the park, they pay the admission and they come into the park, where there's all that food. We have artists from Antigua, from Trinidad, from Jamaica, from Barbados. We've got a whole bunch of diverse artists who are going to be taking, the stage show is crazy. And the U.S. Virgin Islands is a huge part of this too. You do not have to know the music to feel the music. That's what I want to encourage people. You will come in and it'll hit your soul, because this is all of us. It's all of our music.
I love the way she says it's going to hit your soul, and it will. You know, the Moss Band, the parade showcases history, the costumes, judges even select the band of the year, along with
Yeah.
kings and queens of the carnival for this year, truck of the year, and the People's Choice winners. So it's so
Yeah.
much going on, and it's so much available to you. Again, the web that you can go to, the site is orlandocarnivaldowntown.com. And if there's anything that you need to find out about this, it's right there on that website. We've got some pictures that we had been displaying. And Guenet, you just feel her spirit. So if you picture 35, 4,000 more Guenets with this smile and this boisterousness, that's what you're going to get this
That's
weekend
it.
of Carnival. This is wonderful. Orlando Carnival downtown, the parade and the festival. Any last minute words you have for us, G?
I just say, come and join the celebration, right? This is, again, Orlando's festival. We're just proud to be bringing so many people into town. Orlando is the destination that now has the most amount of visitors in the state on Memorial Weekend. So let's show them a good time. Let's show them who we are.
You know, we can do this. We can do this. Again, OrlandoCarnivalDowntown.com. You can find out fee information there. But the CEO of GGR Marketing and Public Relations, Guenet Gittens-Roberts, our guest today. And I'm telling you, if you're not doing anything this weekend, you can't say you missed it, because there's a whole lot going on.
There's a lot. From I Drive, from International Drive at those clubs, from Jungle to Legends to all across this city, parties are popped up. You cannot be bored this weekend. Even if you're not on the traditional carnival events, there's every major soca artist is in Orlando this weekend at a different fete. See, we call it fete just the same like Mardi Gras.
I love you, G. I love your zestfulness. And this is how she is all the time. I need
All the
you all
time.
to know.
Shake a little bit so that people could see y'all.
We thank you so much for sharing. And ladies, thank you so much for being a part of it today. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. G, thank you so much for being a part of One Take Live. Don't forget, we stream live to Facebook, to YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Apple, or any of your favorite streaming platforms. Thank you so much.